We stand tall, words of blades that never fall, debated warriors brave. Every thought we give and save. In the ring we stand tall, words of blades that never fall, debate like warriors brave. Every thought we give and save. Through the noise we cut clean, spirited mind sharp and keen, with a spark that lights the night. Join us in this epic fight. Welcome to the Spartan Arena, where minds clash and thoughts clean. In the heat of every word, truth and insight will be heard. Buckle up and take your stance. In this arena, there's no chance to escape the fight by law. Dive in deep and search for more. From heartfelt talks to fierce debates, we explore what fate creates. Side by side we seek the light. In the dark our minds ignite. Welcome talks to fierce debates, we explore what fate creates. Side by side we seek the light. In the dark our minds ignite. Welcome to the Spartan Arena, where minds clash and thoughts clean. In the heat of every word, truth and insight will be heard. Buckle up and take your stance. In this arena, there's no chance to escape the fight by law. Dive in deep and search for more. In the ring we stand tall, words are blades that never fall. Debate like warriors brave, every thought we give and save. Through the noise we cut clean, spirited minds sharp and keen, with a spark that lights the night. Join us in this epic fight. Welcome to the Spartan Arena, where minds clash and thoughts gleam. In the heat of every word, truth and insight will be heard. Buckle up and take your stance. In this arena there's no chance to escape the vibrant lore. Dive in deep and search for more. From heartfelt talks to fierce debates, we explore what fate creates. Side by side we seek the light. In the dark our minds ignite. Welcome to the Spartan Arena, where minds clash and thoughts gleam. In the heat of every word, truth and insight will be heard. Will be heard. Will be heard.
Spartans! What is your profession?
What is going on, everybody? Oh, I even started bad. Let's redo this again. What is going on, everybody? We're back at it with another stream, another live. You know where you're at. You're at Spartan Institute Network. I am your host, Ghost or Spata. I can't do this by myself, of course. He's back there. He's doing jumper jacks. He's doing what little Groots do, little sperm Groots. He's gonna start screaming with Bear Paul. Tonight, we're not gonna call him Bear Boot. I'm gonna change his nickname for tonight. We're gonna call him Crybaby.
Yeah, Paul.
Mm-hmm.
Bear Paul. Bear Paul.
Good on, my man. How are you?
Here, I'm all right. Here, the reason why goot never fit with me. One, I'm African. There's no goot in Africa. Two, the animal symbol of my nation either a lion, eagle, or who add a gorilla, so to speak. That's why I don't apply to the goot. Goot don't really fit me in that one. And I chose bear paw because there you go.
I don't like this view. Why are we in this set? There we go. That's a lot better. All right,
So goot
David.
number, yeah, and I can't be a crybaby either because one thing we Africans don't do crybaby, we do it ass whooping.
Ass whipping my ass. You have things like you have a thing for asses, man asses, goat asses,
No,
elephant asses.
it there have been video of us all over the web whereby we like to thump a mud pipe on people when we get caught on with
So
those.
here's a funny story. It's a true story too. So I'm a big mouth in a way.
Hmm.
Don't agree with that fucker. I'm gonna hit the button already. So during, let's say, a little bit of an argument with somebody, and we changed words. I was disagreeing with him. We went from a friendly, disagreement to an argument to a screaming match. So he goes to me at one point when he starts screaming, "I'm gonna beat your fucking ass!" Like, what you gonna do, my fucking ass? You gonna whoa, 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 whoa! I go to him. In America, we don't go near men's asses like we do. In Jamaica, I went to him. In Jamaica, you guys might do anal and men and all that bullshit. I was going, and so I see all the guys friends with his literally start walking, half one to the left, half one to the right, and they're looking. I'm like, we are not fucking with you now anymore. You're on your own, homeboy. So I kind of turned him gay by the end of the argument, and he was 5 against 2, became 1 against 2. No, we didn't do anything. We just thought it was hilarious. My friend looked at me like, dude, you literally just embarrassed him through his whole clique. I'm going, yeah, I know I did. You're gonna say,
I don't know how you do that.
well, it's me you're talking to. Are you
I know.
surprised?
I'm not surprised because I know those things don't work with me. But
It might
if
not work
you,
for you, but some people it will work.
I know it depends on the person, the demeanor, and how they carry themselves. That is one. I've been aware of that for the longest. It's like your personality traits speak volume on how you conduct yourself, or how you act, or how you're being perceived by
Mhm.
others. Now, I'm not a big mouth, but I'm the kind of person that where I will say this: you don't want to come out of your way and think you can just poke the bear. No, that's the term. Don't poke the bear. 'Cause when you poke the bear, you be surprised what that happen. My phrase: either you don't poke the bear or you don't go to the lion den. Come to deal with me. And when with the lion den, don't come out alive that easy. But I found that people in society don't never pay attention about reading the room, reading the atmosphere, trying to understand how to navigate. I was told I'm a Trojan horse. I know what you mean. They would tell me in most workplaces I pretend to be a pushover, but in reality I'm not even a pushover. I'm more of a booby trap. not to be stepped on. 'Cause when you step on me or you think you can bully me around, do you find out, you bite off too much than you can chew, kind of say. And that have been my normal reputation because one, I'm a quiet dude in most cases. In some cases, I don't mind having a good conversation as long as it's worth getting to. But when we come to the throwing out words, throwing slang, or you want to intimidate people, sometimes you know who you can intimidate, who you cannot. Sometimes there are people background make them numb to intimidate. It's almost like we're gonna look at it like, what you trying to pull off? Like, what to do about it? And we just either we ignore you, act like you're wasting your time, or pretend that you're not even there. Now, when you don't get the rise or the reaction you expect to get from it because we just look at you like there's no point in engaging, some will walk away, but other will keep on pushing. And that is where you have to have discernment. You can't try the same thing with everybody. Everybody's not the same. But you also got to be careful because some people are brutal. I've done it a few times in my past. But people who have tried to get a rise out of me, I ignore them and they keep on poking. And I had to let them have it, but in a way whereby I literally intentionally embarrassed them among their peers. But I didn't do what you did. I did a little way worse than that. It was more so destroying their self-esteem foundation. That has been a trigger point. If you keep bugging me, keep trying to use me to some kind of stupid joke so you can't get a ride out of me among your crew and your crowd, then I'm gonna give it a look. Be careful where you step on because crossing me will cost you not only your position among your crew. I'm gunning for your self-esteem. I'm going for the juggler, and I'm gonna make you feel not only immature but so little beyond recognition. And I'm not gonna stop. I'm gonna bully it to the point whereby you try the wrong predator, and once I
Mhm.
smell blood, I don't let it go. I did it. I remember I had one person who did that with me when I was working for MTA. He joined the team, think he's some big boy just throwing stupid jokes. I gave him the look like I'm not in time for your nonsense. I didn't even feel like being bothered that day. I gave the warning to the supervisor. Let this boy know I'm not the one to mess with. Just leave me the hell alone. Guy was picking on me for 2 months straight without me even biting him. When I keep giving the warning, I keep giving the warning because I know the kind of person I am. Some people will warn the guy like you might want to leave this guy alone. You're not that kind of individual you want to mess with. He keep on. Now you say you tugging through man cape. I didn't. You didn't know cape with me. You're tugging my battle axe. Once I pick it up off the ground, nah. And there's not enough meat on the axe. I'm coming out for more. So this guy keep tugging. Okay, no problem. We at one location. He thought he gonna come and embarrass me. Little did he realize that I was like, you know what? This is the perfect time to just decimate you. Not only that, I went in on this guy, I roast the guy. I when I take term, when I say violated him, I
Whoa,
literally
whoa,
violated
whoa,
him
whoa,
so
whoa,
bad.
David, David. This is a
No, I know, I know.
hang on. Let me finish. We're not going to X-rated like you want to this on this channel. We're
No,
not X-rated channel.
I'm
We're
not being.
only rated
I
R.
know, I know. I'm just being rated R on the when I say I violated him. I was throwing the kind of jokes that you know how you go to the comedy club and you are a heckler and you think you
You know,
got
it's funny you
jokes.
said this, and we're gonna get into the show after that. All my
I know,
jokes I got that I use in real life. I got it from comedians,
mhm,
believe it or not.
I know, but you know the know the warning people give you. You never want to heckle a comedian, think you got jokes. I figure that comedian is a veteran.
Except if you know how to get them. I did it once. Hang on,
I
hang on.
know.
So he was joking around about tacos versus gyros. I'm like, all right, I got you, motherfucker. I'm thinking to
Mhm.
myself. So this is a low comedian. He's not like Fluffy level or anything like that. And he got the joke from Fluffy, believe it or not. Fluffy has a similar joke on his special. Anyway, he's going on and on and on and on and on. I go, all right. He goes, you know I'm Greek, right? He goes, and he starts breaking a joke like, yeah. I go, yeah, you're a racist. You just offended me. And how many of you guys are Greeks? Like half this group raised up. None of them are Greeks. Everybody was in the joke. And now he felt stupid. So I go up to him. I go, by the way, I'm the only Greek here. We're just fucking with you, dude. He looked at him like his face turned so red from embarrassment because I got him so well. Yeah. So, all right, you want to get into the show or what?
So, let's see.
All right.
Because I was looking at the title, I'm like,
I got videos. I got things to talk about. And 5 things to keep quiet about. It could be anything, guys. It could be your wife. It could be your kids, your financial, a new job you're working on. Those 5 things are something about you that I cannot answer, or this little guy. Yeah, this little guy cannot answer either. Um,
I'm 6 foot tall. How am I little?
David,
I'm over 200.
You've reached your
I'm over
limit on
250
talking.
pounds.
Shut the fuck up.
you've been good lately.
Boom, blazing, middle
You've
finger.
been good lately, but I think I gotta get you back in the ring.
Yeah, but you say little, but
Anyway, but
that's like you're like telling a big bear to eat little.
hang on, David. Seriously, things to be quiet about. It could be your health, goals in life, whatever it is. Maybe only your inner circle needs to know that stuff. David, go ahead. I'll give you the floor for a minute. Go ahead.
No, I get what you're referring to, like things you keep to yourself, things you keep quiet about. That is very true. I think this is like a code of ethics or code of conduct when you're in any place, especially when you're out in or you're at work on a job site or you're at some kind of event or occasion. You can't be saying thing or doing thing or the creating a spectacle just because you want to feel in a place or feel like you belong there. I think that's what you're referring to because I believe in most places in working a job, sometimes you have to be careful what you say at work. Now, depend on how I would put it. I get it more like where you at the job. If you're a rookie, in most cases, you keep your mouth shut. If you are a junior, you can't give out too much information about yourself. You got to figure out where you sit in the totem pole, where you sit at the pecking order. When you're in there for a couple of years, then this is like, I don't know, year 2, year 3, you trying to open up. You got to be careful. Because normally, I would say this any job you go to, trying to figure out who's not. Don't be so open to open your mouth and just spill out information that you shouldn't spill out information about. Don't try to be a snake under the green grass type of situation because when that stick out too much, people hold on to it and have you on the radar system. And I see that at times people that things start to change a lot because something that you keep your mouth quiet or shut on something, you have other people snooping around for no apparent reason. And I'm thinking in the era we are in, there's no it's almost like there's no code of ethics anymore. There's no gentleman agreement like I mind my business, you mind your business. You get out of my business. It's like
You're
yeah,
funny about that, right?
I'm just
My
being
dude,
real.
you
It's
with
more
today's society with social media and
social. What? So,
hang on, David. I know you're about to jump down my goddamn throat, but don't. with
Pause.
You've reached your limit on talking. Shut the fuck up.
so seriously, you're about to jump down my throat. Um, nah, you're an asshole tonight. I opened a camera's room tonight. You and your booty calls, your men booty calls.
Whoa. Pause. This is not a Diddy
All right,
case right
let's
now.
get
Let's
away
leave
from the
that
X-rated
another
back to the rated
conversation.
R stuff, please. All right, so no, seriously, you're about to jump down.
You brought it
You're
there.
about to, jump down my throat. Not like that. Will you stop for a minute, please? Do you take it seriously? It might-
Let Anger L be here and you say the same exact thing. He'll give the same response. You be like,
what with people with social media, they're posting everything like, "Oh, I'm outside with my friend, my new boyfriend, doing this, doing that." You don't have a private life. You are on my personal social media, right, David?
yeah,
All right. How many personal stuff do I post?
not so much, but it's more the regular stuff you
I post
post.
mostly.
Either
I
out here.
repost videos from other content creators. Like the last thing I
Yeah, but
posted, I don't know if you saw the last thing I posted was a religion thing. Actually, and I don't really post religion stuff too much often. If you think about it, uh,
no, anything is mostly I think of is either videos
videos, yeah,
or
a lot of videos.
prior prior events you have been to, like Comic Con, no kind of
Correct,
thing. That's like the generalization of thing. But anything beyond that, no.
correct. Like a lot of videos I post are like, oh, or the new thing I've been in history videos, like the moments that this happened in history kind of thing. So stuff like that. Like I don't post personal stuff because I don't want my people in my goddamn fucking business like that. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Obviously, as a content creator, people are in my life somehow. You know what I'm saying? And I'm okay with that. And you're okay too because you're a partner. You're part of this channel. You're my VP. You're one of my VPs. Paul's my second VP. So you guys are. We put our lives out there. Let's be honest here when we do this stuff when we're on camera,
I understand.
but not to the point that I tell you, "Hey, David, you know, I had um, I had my balls waxed last night," kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, whatever. Not like that. But we keep our life so private on camera. We talk about things. We share things that helps the kind, but we
Hmm.
don't go too extreme. Does that make sense? What I'm saying?
That makes sense.
All right, go finish what you're gonna say, but then I'll play the next video when you're done. And I want to answer a couple of these comments as we're going through them.
The thing when you mentioned social media, I thought the question if it's social media or it's gossip media, which one you want to call it. Because I technically a lot of people don't know what it is. I work with one of the first social media platform that came out in existence called cardclub.com. So that have been the building block for multiple social media platforms up to date. But these days, I don't really call it social media. I don't think it's social media anymore. It's more like gossip media because
True.
let's put it into perspective. Facebook, what would they category Facebook? They take Facebook for old folks, people of my age group or above where they shit. I know you will give that look like
Absolutely.
this is where this where they say Facebook meant for old folks who want to share family picture among their peers and families. That'll be the type of social media platform to do that on. Instagram is almost for the next generation behind us who may have a midlife crisis or they still think they still got it after a certain age. Snapchat is for the younger generation, for the lack of foundation. Keyword, I mean, lack of foundation. They have no moral compass whatsoever. And as you look at different social media out there, they're all based on demographic or mindset. But what I see common on
Hmm.
all of them is it's all about the gossip. Let's be real. We have people who create different norms through social media that is non-existent. You and I have been on these platforms and other places having the discussion about stupid, unfounded ideology, some bullshit gossip, some bullshit talking point, and we have a person who come up like a damn scam himself aka scam unlikely, without telling people, oh, you have a talking point mafia, then I thought the question is it talking point mafia they're referring to people or the people who have real life experience? Which one is which? Because
You
I'm
see,
used to
he
speaking
can
on what
roast me in two different ways. Some things he had a really good point, but when I found out he just likes trolling people online, I lost a little respect for the guy.
and you're not the only one. But the thing is, when people do trolling, that's the first thing come to my mind. Immature, lack of spine cord, no more compass, bored, keyboard warrior. We're part of the dweeb society.
Hmm.
People who troll are more likely people from the dweeb society. They're the one the people either they were put in that corner back in high school or middle school, whatever. They feel like they need to latch out. So want to have a avatar, they can pretend to be something they're not. Or there are people with low self-esteem issue in most
Yeah,
cases. Trolls are people who more likely lack the solid self-esteem. They feel like they have to attack somebody to make themselves feel good. That's why they get off on that because they themselves don't got this self-esteem that they're on their own 2 feet, so to speak. But when I've been on this lot of panel and I speak based on real life experience and what I've seen within the community, and I tell you, a talking point, I want to ask the question, is it a talking point or is it a simple fact that you don't want to admit it to the actual reality of what it is? Because what we see in on the internet, I can't call it social media no more, it's more like gossip media. People are becoming fake image of who they really are on the internet street just because they want to walk away or run away from their own reality. Hey, letting the boy, how you doing? But what I'm also trying to find it disturbing, this is a social experiment that's gone haywire whereby people are bearing a part of themselves. They don't realize when they're doing this, they're telling us something about themselves. They're showing that they lack foundation, they lack the core, they lack the well thought of navigating. They feel like they had to attack other people or compare them with other people or compete unnecessary competition, so to speak. We see this a lot. Let's talk about this. You see couple comparing them to with other people pictures on their own
David, we're
profile.
kind of getting off the subject. Let's get back on subject.
I'm just saying about some. Well, it's within the
No, because
subject,
I
right?
have that scheduled for a later show about social media stuff.
Ah,
That's why
okay,
I
no
don't want to get
problem.
off.
Let's
I
skip
want
that.
to keep that part for another time. You know what I'm saying?
But what I was trying to point out that we were talking about tiny things that I speak. We got people who blurt out information. You should never say on social media. Perfect
Hmm.
example. Remember I mentioned comparing. What do you see on social media? People like to do too much. Oh, my man don't do me like this. Oh, he don't do this like this. How come my man cannot buy? But where did that come from? Remember, we say silence speak 5 times. You need to keep quiet. Why will you blurt out what your man don't do? Just because you see someone on another person's profile and you want to compare.
I was like that at one point, to be honest with you, David. But I want to go to his comments. I want to play the first video. Okay.
I know, but
Yeah.
you get what
All
I'm
right.
coming from with that.
Mariana says sometimes you have a put him in the person in the place and take them look stupid. Mariana, you know me pretty well. I do that pretty often, very easy. It comes natural to me, make people feel stupid and retarded. And
Uh,
her next comment, you have to keep quiet in order to achieve the goal, whatever it is, and avoid neglect input vibes from people that don't want you to do better. David, you got any feedback on that?
that one is not happening. What I'm trying to point out. They keep quiet, right? Why are you throwing your man or woman under the bus on social media? Why are you comparing your kid with other kids on social media? This the topic. Silent speak,
Yeah.
right? But for some apparent reason, I know that the phrase called pictures say 1,000 words, right? But at the same time, anyone can fake it on the picture. Why do people go so far to compare what they see on somebody's post, but don't know what's going on in their real individual life to begin
Hmm.
with?
All right. So
Yeah, there are people making money off this thing right now, whereby people just. And I'm wondering, like, okay, when was somebody thought? When was somebody start teaching social media decorum?
mhm.
When to shut the hell up? It's literally like,
Yeah.
goddamn.
So let's go to our next comment, and we got one more after that, and then we play a video. Not only personal activities, but also protection that one you are caring about family or a friend that shouldn't keep quiet and keep to yourself. And Mario, you're right. You're
And
right. You should keep a lot of things
I
to
have to, I
yourself.
have to agree with that. I have to agree with that. I think the problem is certain social media platform was designed almost close to that same type of mindset whereby you know how you have features whereby certain group of people are allowed to see certain stuff on your profile.
A lot of people like that. Yeah,
Those things
yeah, I
need
know
to
what you're
come
talking
back.
about.
That need to come back because I know. Remember, I mentioned I tell you Facebook for old folk. That would be a place in case of one. For example, everybody grew up in one area. Everybody grew up in Queens, right? You moved to Pennsylvania. Another family member of yours moved to Las Vegas.
A
Another
better
person
example for
moved
me is most
to.
of my family grew up in Greece before I was born. Obviously, my mom and my dad's family, and then moved here.
Mhm.
My uncle moved here, then my mom moved here, and then separated, and then that's a whole different story, of course.
And the only way you can communicate or showcase a memory, you just post certain things so that when a person access your profile, if they're only allowed to see it, they can see some memory that's going on. Yeah, and oh, my little nephew growing up. That's what it's meant to be at one point.
Absolutely.
And I think for some apparent reason, these social media engineer or software engineer that run the platform decide to delete or remove stuff kind of filter that made it where everybody could be up in your business, literally speaking.
Mhm.
And I thought about that for a while. I was like, I wonder if you can have a social media platform whereby if you create a folder for family, only family members can see that stuff. And when who's not family member is not allowed to see it. What will be a setting that will be set in that way so it keep your life private but protected from other people from bearing in. That's one part. Two, some people don't want to get social media platform. What I've been hearing a lot lately, some people are fed up. So what they're doing right now, they canceling their social media platform, clearing their information because of identity scam. People are pictures are being used for multiple things. You don't know who's who anymore because everybody doing deep fake or whatever. That's be another part. Then if that's not the case, you can create a group chat, not a group chat. It's more like a group on between what come messaging platform, either you're on MS Team, I think they have that featured right now. Microsoft Team, they're doing something like that whereby you can connect with family members and only family members can share information among
Mhm.
themselves. You don't have to be posted on social media no more because some of that social media have gotten way out of
Yeah.
hand.
So again, we're getting off track again. You're going back to that. Let's
No,
focus.
no, I'm talking about keeping quiet. I mean, I'm talking about me to keeping
Okay, okay,
quiet
okay. It
because
sounds like you're going back to social media. I know you when you get stuck on a subject, it's
no,
hard to get
it's
you
not.
off.
And no. The thing is, I'm talking about how to not to blurt out
You know what I
information.
call that actually?
I could,
I don't call it
what?
blurbing. I call it diarrhea from the mouth.
That's Brooklyn
Yeah.
term.
So let's go with a couple more comments. Let's say hi to Lady Noel. We went over that. Uh she's complaining I'm not highlighting her comments, but she knows very well it goes on both sides of the fence. You can comment on my channel too, and your comments will be highlighted. And the last comment I want to highlight her is David. What are we really talking about?
We talk about things that people have now been taking measure because they're
Silence is
getting
power.
tired of people digging into their business, so to speak. Remember, the thing you cannot talk about or thing you want to cover to protect. Lately, these days, what's the term to call? Doc. That's the extreme form of people going into your privacy, looking for
Hmm.
things that to throw out in the public. Even though you don't try to put in the public, they just want to dig, 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 and
Yeah,
pull
yeah.
it out.
All right, David. Let's go to the first video. All right.
But
Silence is power. Here are 7 reasons why being silent will get you everything in life. 1. You gain control. When you don't speak, you control the situation, your thoughts, your responses. 2. You listen more. Silence makes you a better listener, and that's where true understanding comes from. 3. You become unpredictable. People can't read you when you don't give away your next move. 4. You avoid conflict. Less talking means fewer chances to say something you'll regret. 5. You earn respect. People respect those who speak less but act with intention. 6. You observe clearly. Silence allows you to see what others are really doing, not just what they say. 7. You build mystery. When you speak less, people are drawn to discover more about you. If this resonated with you, subscribe to the Stoic Verse for more wisdom to guide your journey. Silence is power.
that's come from a level of discipline. Not many people can practice that. From a talent and power, that's more like in the work environment. If you speak less, they say people will respect you. But at the same token, there are two sides to the coin, depending on what arena of work you are in. It's funny that say silence is power, but at the same token, in some job when you don't speak, they're coming after you as if that you're not partaking, you're not being involved. And I find that strange. You could be the quiet
Hmm.
person and don't want to speak much while you're at work, and you kind of like that for a long period of time. You get into meetings, all of a sudden, because you don't like to speak much or like to keep quiet, they're targeting you. So they're changing the policy so that whereby they're forcing you to talk, even though you don't feel like talking much. They want to put you on the spot. They want to see if you really here with the team or not, so to speak. And I've seen that a lot because there were some cases before I've been in like job whereby a lot of meetings I don't want to say another word. I don't like to speak too much because I want to observe everything. I want to understand what was going on. When I start to see the pattern, I start taking notes, start documenting things, I start documenting the pattern. Then when they time to put you on the spot to speak, when that time to speak and you try to lay it out there, all of a sudden everybody's like, oh, whoa. Either they feel like they got founded, or they feel like they got busted, or they feel like they got exposed. Now they want you to shut up. No. Why should I shut up? You ask for a suggestion. I came out and brought out here the probable procedure. Here are the flaws. Here what it lead to, and why we need to change X, Y, and D. And I think there will be the best policy based on observing, taking note, and I break it down and I explain each process. Do that, and you have project managers among you who are shitty at their job, and you speak in a way that I think you can do a better job than them, and they feel it. You know, you're not trying to do their job, but you bring a suggestion. They feel some kind of way. But before you did all that, they were trying to put you on the spot. Yes, silence is power. But in today's society, they're trying to force people to speak more often. They don't like you when you're too quiet. Cause you come out too scary, too spook, don't know who you are. Maybe you are undercover, so to speak. So they're looking for a way to figure out who you really are. That sort of thing. But it worked well among peers, among the people you just hang around with or you speak to. Sometimes better to keep quiet more often to listen. And the reason why silence its power works a lot more in the type of surroundings, it teaches you how to not only listen, but pay key attention to words. Pay key attention to conversation. I think this is something that you and I have spoke about.
So
You're on a panel and you don't know how to have a conversation. Listen first. Let the person speak their point all the way from start to finish so you can get an understanding before you
yeah.
respond.
So here's a couple of my issues with not what you're saying with people in general. When you're quiet, they don't like that. They poke the bear. No offense. They keep poking the bear and poking the bear and poking the bear. When you snap the fuck back, they don't like it. Some days you're not in the mood to talk. For example, you just want to do your work. Like me, the last couple days, I just want to do my fucking work and go home. I don't want to talk. And they poking the bear and they're poking the bear and they're poking the bear. When I poke your eyes out about it, you don't get freaking mad. But before we could move on, let's get this guy in here. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for our president. Mr. President, how are you tonight?
I'm okay. What's going on?
Nothing much. We are talking about things to stay quiet about. I
Okay.
just finished playing the video. Did you get a chance to see the video? Or want me to replay
No,
it again?
why don't you just give me a breakdown of what of the 5? What have you covered so far? Just give me the.
We haven't. We just started getting into deep into the conversation. We just played the video.
Oh,
we were
okay.
going back and forth
All
with
right.
things. I was going about right now. Me, that were going back. Sometimes you just want to be quiet because you want to do your work and go home. You don't want to put your business out there at work. Sometimes you just want to get your shit done and get the fuck out. And people poke the bear, to the you snap back and saying, "Listen, I just don't want to talk. I just want to do my fucking job and leave me the fuck alone." So that's where we left off. Okay, what you got?
What specifically about that last comment? Working going home?
In general, five things you think you should stay quiet about, in your opinion.
It's not about a thing that you should be quiet about. I think, depending on the your ability to take risk or deal with the consequences of what you say is what matters. I don't think there is anything that should necessarily be off the table. I see a lot of content creators, for example, that are very transparent when it comes to different aspects of their life, weaknesses that they may have, addictions that they may have, trauma that they may have had. So it's really, are you really willing to deal with the consequences of putting your business out there? And for some people, it's liberating when you can share your life and whatnot. So it's like nobody can come at you a lot of times when, but if you're trying to hold on to secrets or whatever, carry that burden around, then that could be more damaging than just getting it out. And for some people, it's almost like a freedom in that it's almost like if you guys ever saw 8 Mile with Eminem and the last rap battle where he basically took apart the guy because he basically put out everything that you're going to say. Yeah, I'm white. I live with a trailer park with my mom. The guy took my girl, all that kind of stuff. So what are you going to say about me at this point that people don't know? A lot of times we oftentimes see the most transparent people. It's almost like they're bulletproof. But people who are trying to hold on to secrets and whatnot, they're very vulnerable. Them stuff goes out. Oh, my stuff got out, and now they got you because they see that as a weakness or a vulnerability. But sometimes it's just better. That's why a lot of politicians can learn from that. Don't wait until someone drops a newspaper article on something that you know that's out there. Just come out there and fess it up and say, "Yeah, I did this." And you'll be surprised how a lot of times people are just willing to say, "Okay," and just kind of move on. But a lot of people, they just, living a lie and they keep the lie going, and they just don't, they just don't want to deal with the truth and deal with it as it is. I was just listening to some debates lately, a lot of just different Christian debates, and talk about history and whatnot. And a lot of these guys, they're very protective of Christian history, but Christian history, especially for someone like myself, is messy. But you want to just hold on to it. It's like, no, little guy, stuff really wasn't that bad in the past. And the church fathers, yeah, there was a little bit of people. It's like, why did you have to have abolitionists if the majority of Christians were doing what they were supposed to be doing? You wouldn't need abolitionists then, if that was the case. So again, just be honest. I think people, you just don't want to be honest about what the real is. So I really don't think there should be anything off of the table. If you're really to confront it, deal with the burdens of it. One, you'll be surprised how many people can relate to what you're saying, because they might be going through it, but they may have been embarrassed to talk about or share something because of how it was going to how they were going to be perceived, and now they can go up there and share what they want. So that's one aspect of it. The other aspect would probably be just understanding your surroundings. Yes, I do believe in wisdom and certainly not saying too much. I think there's a time, especially in a workplace environment, in a new place where people don't know you until the relationships are built. Yeah, you might want to keep some things, somewhat close to the vest in terms of who you are, just understanding the sharks that might be swimming in the waters looking for blood. So I think there's a good one there, Paul. There's a time when you need to be shrewd. Bible says be, gentle as doves, but sometimes you got to be shrewd as a snake. And you have to understand who the players are, who the ones who are looking to exploit, and govern yourselves accordingly. So I think that there's a time and a place for everything. But I've seen a lot of people who've been very successful, certainly in the world's eyes, by living their lives out loud. Guys have been addicted, alcoholics, addicts, whatever. And it's just like, and people, because, like I said, people relate to it. Whereas the person who's so quiet and closed off, they don't draw people to them because, there's no relatability there. And for the quiet person who just wants to shut up and do his job and go home, that may work only up to a certain level. But certainly in a corporation that is political, that is based on relationships, that may not work. You may find yourself in the tech field, or you may keep yourself on a lower level rather than like a managerial space, or get the promotions because they may say he or she, you did a good employee to do the job and whatnot, but can they lead people? Can they build relationships with people, earn the trust of people around them? And bust is sharing part of your life and getting them to share theirs, and that they feel comfortable with you. Relatability is important, and it's hard to be relatable if you don't say anything. So it depends on what you want. If you're the type of person you just want to do your job and go home and shut up and not do anything, then fine. Then you'll get certainly what that level requires. But then don't complain if people pass you up for promotions. You'll say, look, I work harder than anybody here. Hard work doesn't necessarily mean that you get promoted, at least not in areas where you have to manage people. That's a totally different skill set. And you have a lot of people who have a high IQ, but they have a very low EQ. And people just look at them as, hey, just let them do their job, and that's it. I got people at my job like that. Just come in, do their job and whatnot, and nobody talks about them. Nobody invites them to anything. Nobody bills because they just stay to themselves.
They stay in their own lane.
I'm like, okay, stay in their own lane, but okay, don't complain then. And people don't. When people don't invite, so don't get upset when you get passed up. So again, you can work yourself to the max of what a position pays. If you want to do more than that, you have to outperform and overdo what that position does. And a lot of times that requires you to get out of your own comfort zone and be in places where people can see you. They can not only see your work, but they can see your personality. and be willing to share stuff. But yeah, I mean, you'll be surprised. I think a lot of people feel like they got to hold on to stuff when oftentimes they really don't.
See,
And you'll be surprised how many people can relate to what you're saying.
you just put something in your prescription for me, Paul, because I never thought about it like that. You know, be a little bit social butterfly, in other words, to move up in the ladder. Because
I think there's hang on, I wouldn't go there either.
okay,
There's levels to this. There is, you don't want to get to the status of being a gossip,
no, I'm not saying gossip.
because again, if you get, but you said social butterfly. I mean, a lot of times
meaning,
that,
like, you're talking about comic books at work a little bit, or gaming.
yeah,
like
comic books, sports, whatever, or
Yeah.
just like your own life. Like, yeah, how your kids, your kids going to
That's
school,
what
yeah,
I'm
mine just
talking about.
graduated, yada yada.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, right, just to be able to again have relationships,
Correct,
to
correct.
build a rapport with people that's just personal as well. Because again, we are humans, we're not robots. Now, again, the way things are going with AI and whatnot, it may get to that point where humans aren't necessary in certain occupations. I'm working in some warehousing stuff, and they got these robot things going in the warehouses and doing stuff. No guys with the forklift and all that. The robots are doing everything now. So again, that may come to a point where that may not be necessary. But again, you cannot replace the human relational part of it, if you want to have successful relationships. And again, when it comes to management, now again, there's certainly people who don't belong in management. And certainly I get that. But those people knew exactly who to talk to, or at least who to build a relationship with or whatnot to get that. I mean, it's don't expect fairness oftentimes when it comes to these situations. And some people still find that there's glass ceilings, that there's different things. So also be mindful enough to know that there might be certain things that you cannot do. Even in 2025, me as a black American man, as tall as I am, I know that there's a way that I need to conduct myself and work that someone else may be able to get away with, but I cannot. If I acted emotionally, then people may take that emotional response as something to be fearful of. If you're a 5'2" white lady, then you can fly off the handle and people just don't bat an eye. But if a brother raises his voice in the workplace, that can be intimidating to people. And so again, I have to be mindful of that as well, how I conduct myself. So again, it's at the end of the day, it's knowing your surroundings, it's knowing your audience, and using wisdom in what to disclose and what not to, when to talk and when not to, who to trust and who not to. And again, dealing with the consequences of what is said.
And that is putting things a little different in perspective for me about silence. Because I know a bunch of chefs that moved up because they network themselves very, very well. That's an argument statement. Now, do they belong in management or not? That's a whole different story. I say 9 out of 10 probably never belong in management in their lives. 1% does. But that's that. Before we move to the next video, do you guys want to say anything else before we move on? David, Mike.
But I will agree with what Bennett was saying, because me and him work in almost similar work environment, and sometimes you have to be careful what you say and what cannot say. Well, believe me, those type of environment on the corporate sector, in the corporate office, there are people you have to pay close attention to from a distance to make sure you don't be in their circle of things. This is why I'm the same way like with the Bennett. In some cases, I'll just go and get a job done, try and get out. I'm not trying to have a conversation unless you're my teammate and we're working doing the same type of thing. Then from there, I may ask questions just to get to know you, so I can be familiar with who you are, so in case you're a reliable teammate or not. I will not pry too much into your business unless you want me to know. Because in our at tech, it's normally you would call it a doggy dog world. There's some people just there who are not really tech or engineer. They pretend to be something they're not. but they're trying to figure out how to maneuver or navigate to climb up the ranks so they can get to a boss position so they can throw their fake weight around, so to speak.
All right,
Mhm.
let's play this next video really fast, guys.
5 things to keep quiet about. Number 1, your next big move. Number 2, your love life. Number 3, your income and bank balance. Number 4, family issues. Number 5, your life goals. 5 things to keep.
All right, guys, who want to go first?
No, Mr. Bennett.
Paul?
I think I probably would agree. I mean, again, it depends on the setting.
Or it's just
But I think certainly, yeah, ink, yeah, what you're, I mean, that could be, that could certainly be explosive. But as far as your life goals or your ambitions, again, depending on the audience that you're around, I mean, there's nothing wrong with being, ambitious or letting, certainly your supervisors know where would you like to go, in the role that you're in, and where would you like to ascend to, or sharing what your goals. I think that, but again, who you share that with, if it's a coworker or coworkers that you're tight with, yeah, I mean, sharing issues, yeah, your love life, I don't see how that's, that's a fairly common thing. I mean, I got women in my office, they all admitted to me they're divorced or whatever. So I don't know if that counts, whether, if your marital situation or not, but people, that's a pretty, open thing where they've shared that without me asking. I don't go around asking your man. In fact, you can't. It's funny. I was just looking at, I think I was just looking at illegal questions that you can't ask at work. And so there's like a bunch of them here that they're saying you can't really entertain. But amongst those things, yeah, your marital relationship, are you pregnant or not? Again, those are a lot of questions you can't go in. Your mental health, or are you on any mental health medications? You certainly can't talk about those. And again, I forget everything that the guy said, but yeah, love life. I think that's at lunchtime at the lunch table, because I know people who get together every day. And they're not just talking about sports, when relationships, whatnot. I think there's nothing left on the table. And so, kids, what's going on with your kids and their situations that are going on, family, your parents. I think a lot of that stuff is fairly common. Certainly in a work and love life, I wouldn't get specific about for example, my love making on very few platforms. But I know there's content creators. That's why I said earlier, it depends on that you're running it. Some people are very open about their sex life in these streets, and they're very success, they're very they make it very profitable. So I think really time and place and audience really is what dictates these things. I would never, certainly say, I don't think it's appropriate any time to say how much you're making in your company and sharing that where everybody knows about it. I think that
some companies is actually a fireable offense too.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, a lot of companies I work for, even the company I work for now is a fireable offense if you talk about your pay.
Yeah, so that one I would definitely stay away from in any context. But again, love life. Are you dating somebody? You got a boyfriend or a girlfriend? You got you're getting engaged. Or like I said, if you announce you're pregnant, I mean, obviously if you're pregnant, people are going to see after a while. And there's been plenty of times when we've thrown baby showers and bridal showers and all kinds of things at work or whatnot. I mean, I don't think you can be so hard and literal with this that again, you avoid that idea of human relationship. But again, I've been to plenty of. In fact, the last company I was at, they threw baby showers. It's almost like they had a baby boom there. because it was like every month or so there was like baby showers left, right, and center. All these women were having babies, and so I think that's certainly something that um, is something that's pretty norm, pretty standard. Um, with that. But outside of that, health stuff. Like I said, if you got some major health issue that's not necessarily visible or whatever, medications that you're taking and whatnot. Yeah, I don't think people need to know that. Need to know that stuff. But if you have but at the same time, obviously, if you're disabled, people are going to see that. But even then, you're not necessarily, unless that person decides to volunteer and talk about it. But if you're in a wheelchair or something like that, or you need some sort of assistance or blindness or whatever, I don't see how you get around that. But as far as you pressing them on, oh, what happened and all that kind of stuff, yeah, I think those things are improper. But again, I think a lot of that gets fleshed out over time as you build relationships. And I've seen some teams that are pretty open. Or colleagues get pretty open with someone where it's like you generally become friends, and it goes beyond the work situation, the work environment. Corporate's going to do what they're going to do, something like that. But even after then, they're still friends afterwards. They meet outside of work. You know what I mean? So those kind of relationships do build, and those conversations, wherever they lead to.
David?
I will agree with him, but I'll look at it based on what he mentioned, depending on the environment you're in. For techs or corporate office, that may be apply in that kind of way. But there are people who working back that come from similar community. Let's say they come from the same community. So let's say you're working for GMT, for BMW, car factory, whatsoever. You all came from the same neighborhood. Now, then, when you're having this conversation, the conversation will be almost normal because you see each other every day in the same area. Either your next door neighbor or the house down the block from there, whatever. Your kid go to the same school they go to, and you have regular conversation what's going on within your neighborhood, so to speak. That normally be the conversation you'll see with people who work in car factories or the other industry area where they're in ground zero or any kind of manufacturing plant. That'd be the type of thing you see it considered to be normal because their life is very more like I can't say mundane, but it's looking for the word. It's like a regular routine. Monday to Friday, they're working on in the manufacturing plant. They start that particular shift. Everybody knows each other. Everybody come to the same area. Sometimes you have carpool with these people. Yeah, from the same area. That kind of thing is not much of a big deal compared to the city area, whereby you're not in the same neighborhood, you're from different area, but you have to be careful what you speak. So to speak. Because I've been paying attention to that, and I realized some of these points they point out, some are good, some are bad, some apply to some areas, some don't. Act by age. I'm not gonna do this to age conversation. That's among the ladies. They make up these rules since for the past 4 or 5 decades. You can't ask more about her age, but you were asking them about his age. And that age, you will tell you, oh, I'm 30, I'm 40 this, I'm 20. Never a big deal, but when it comes to women, oh, you can make, yeah, so yeah, but I can lie about the age, right? Whatever. That's one of the weird things, the way where I try to ignore. But it all boiled down to the work environment, I firmly believe. Either, corporate sector, either tech or end user, whatever. That's what my youth, if you work in office, you work in a hospital, you work in the school, you work in a manufacturing plant, you have to determine what can I say among that area because you want to make sure you protect your house or protect your family or protect yourself from any unnecessary drama. Now, if you're from a community whereby you're all work in a factory, you're all in the same neighborhood, y'all go. I'll paint a picture. If y'all in the same neighborhood, your kid go to the same school, you attend the same church.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna have a talk about a lot of things. That's not gonna be dodged. Hey, how's your son? Yeah, yeah. Yo, yeah. Were you there the other time I told him the game? I wasn't able to go because I had to work overtime. Oh yeah, your son scored like 15 points. So. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
And that same neighborhood, same community, that kids and people on the same team. Sometimes you got ask the parent, I won't be able to add or the boss want me to stay behind. Can you look out for me? Okay, cool. We'll let you know what went down. That kind of thing. Those conversations, that's more like y'all families, y'all neighbors, so y'all gonna have that discussion. That thing will be different because the environment is different from the city environment. That's why I'm saying when I look at these things, it's you just really have to pinpoint where those things apply. Because if I was working in a manufacturing plant myself and I'm carpooling, five, eight of us, we're all in the same dynamic. You don't want to be driving an individual car because it's kind of annoying to. I just, you know what? Who car is bigger? No, you use your car. You pay money for the gas. That has been the schedule. So everybody save money. Everybody hang out. You will talk about almost anything. Like, yo, you know who the coach or this new team? 'Cause I know this coach he retired. You know who will take over today? I don't know. My someone telling me that the coach might not be good. You sure about it? Look into it. I want to make sure that my son don't get kicked off or we put on the bench. Cause last time we didn't get another hour to play on the field. He was on the bench for that type of comment that's gonna happen among coworker who kids are in the same football team or same back, whatever. That would be the thing. Imagine if Mr. Benedetto was playing basketball and some of his coworker also have kids go to the same school and talk about the game kind of thing. That would be the counter that would pop up. To tell you, oh, I wasn't able to go with the game. How my daughter? Was she good or whatever? Yeah, she got fouled out a couple of times, or she almost. Maybe able to, oh, you know what? Thank you for the insight. I will go and talk to my daughter about it, see how I can help her give her some pointers. That'll be the kind of conversation that you would see what we consider to be normal. Because there's a familiarity behind that, so to speak. But I believe, whew, I know, Paul, you agree with me. I think these ideas, it varies based on multiple dynamics. And you and I have seen it before. Either we appeared on the same community, we either go to the same church or the same school, or we attended school together, we all in the same neighborhood, we never moved out of there. We grew up there and we stayed there. You start to ask yourself, do these things apply to us or they don't apply to us, so to speak?
Mm.
If your family have been in that same community for over 30, no one moved out, everybody stay in the same place, that thing go out the window because I knew your grandma, you know my grandma, I know your pop, you know my we in the same area, our kid grew up here. It's kind of like that'll be
Mm.
out the window, but it's
Mm.
not the same apply to people in a density city or who do. Sometimes you're thinking, can you apply this in a small town?
Well, it's interesting. We had a show a few weeks ago talking about communities or what happened to the community. But to me, it's almost like, what do you want? I mean, communities are going to be intimate. News is going to get around. Someone's going to know your business. That's part of community also. So do you want a community or not? Or do you want to live in the suburbs or live in the rural area if you don't want your business around, which happened for a lot of people. A lot of people who grew up in an urban environment, they go to the suburbs and there's no communities out there really. In fact, the wealthier the suburb, the less likely. It's not like you got these people with these big houses and they're like compounds. You know what I mean? Like back, especially, I remember start seeing this back in the 90s where people stopped going to, if you wanted to play, you went to the playground, you went to the park. And what started happening was people literally started building parks in their own backyard. Now again, I grew up in an area where you had community swimming. Remember the community swimming pool? Did you have a community
Hmm.
pool? All them people you couldn't swim, and people just in the water because there was too many people to swim. But that
Hmm.
was that's what you grew up with. But then people, once they got some money and they were able to move out of the urban areas and went to the suburbs, they built these little mini amusement parks in their backyard. They got the in-ground pool, they got the big jungle gym set for the kids, so that it's like the kids didn't have to go anywhere. So the idea of going around riding your bikes in the neighborhood with your friends and whatnot, you don't see that a whole lot anymore, where all the kids on the block knew the kids and stuff. And you guys took your bikes, your Huffies or whatever, and went biking around town or whatever. People don't do that stuff anymore because people decided that they want to be by themselves. So the idea of people just wanting privacy, certainly, I think more so than anything else, ended the sense of community.
I
But in a community setting, a true one where everybody knows your name and everybody know so and so, and your kids know their kids and their kids play together, all that kind of stuff, and what the kids are playing, the moms are chatting up or whatever. You don't see that anymore.
whew, I'm glad you mentioned that because that dude struck a chord, and that is something I've been wondering because in this Western civilization, we went from building a community to the point whereby we dismantling the community our damn self. No one wants to share information. Everybody to mind our business. So if we are living based on that code of ethic, right? Whereby everybody mind our own business, nobody in our own business, then what is the point of speaking about the community when we're not in a community to begin with?
Yeah, and it's not
I,
a
I,
it's
I, I
not
that's a, Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
now it's not, and it's not a dysfunctional thing. I said people. It's like it's almost like a sign of affluence. It's not like these places where these suburbs. It's not like where the money. I mean, that's where the money is. So it's not like a dysfunctional thing. It's like people look at it as upwardly mobile. You get your own little spot. I know we got some friends. They live in the most remote areas. It's like driving down to see them. It's like I get no cell phone data. So if I'm going off of GPS, my GPS stops working because it's like y'all in the middle of nowhere. It's like, yeah, we like our privacy. Like I said, they got a little playground down there. So yeah, they love people coming from all over down to their spot to have their parties and things like that. But it's like they are like out there, man. I mean, yeah, it's tranquil and all that, but I'm like, for me, that's a little too remote for me. I want to be where I can be less than 10 minutes from the nearest store or whatever. But there, you driving miles, all you seeing is like one lane roads and stuff like that. I mean, they're like, but but again, they grew up in the city and he decided he wanted a different life, so he just moved to the
And
burbs.
I
He moved
noticed and I know
to the more where his farming communities are.
and I noticed that because this is something whereby this has been with the word programmed to us for a while now. Because of the simple fact that this is why I asked that question: are we a community? Because among black people, we
Mhm.
don't build equity within ourselves. We don't build a foundation that actually require to really to call it a community because if we are working on a
Right.
code that whereby everybody mind our own business, then it's we don't have a
Right.
community to begin with. We should
Right.
stop saying
But I think it's across the board. I think it's across the board though.
I
Because like I said, a lot of these suburbs, they're mostly white, or certainly non-black people. A lot of times we move into those communities, we're like the only black family in the whole neighborhood.
bingo.
You know what I mean? Where back in the day, yeah, we grew up, there was black there's plenty of black people. People decide to leave the urban areas, go into the suburbs. You're the only black family within like in the whole area. And then people get worried. It's like, oh man, black family moved in. Is the property value is going to move down because the black family moved in? I mean, you got to deal with all that kind of
And that's
stuff.
I thought about
So
that too.
so
And I thought
yeah,
about other community, like for example, the Jewish community when they move at a collective. They don't move at individual. I also noticed that. because there's a infrastructure that they built within themselves. You and I both know about New
Yeah.
York City, New Jersey, Connecticut, right? The Jewish community are mostly heavy in New York. That for a lot to be silent speak, it doesn't apply to the Jewish community because there's an infrastructure that they benefit from. Whereby they have a collective food bank, so to speak, in case of an emergency. Everyone benefit from that particular food bank because they're all part of that particular community. They're the organization that have been built upon just in case of a mechanism put in place just in case of anything can happen, like the past pandemic. They have the means to survive it and overcome whatever hardship that come across because not only they build a community, they build a collective and they build a system that not only benefit them but only those who are part of that group. So question is, if you want to be like, okay, I'm gonna move to the suburb, then you're almost like you're entering the realm of doomsday prepping, if that's what you want to call it, or you want to call it something else. Because when you live in a rural area where you're far away from everybody else, and you tell you like you got one lane road, or you gotta take a off road path to your compound, so to speak. That mean by all means, you more like you're cutting yourself off from anybody else. You don't trust nobody. You more like don't tread on my property type of mindset, or be careful when you trespass onto, because that's one thing. Now, the Jewish community are not different from the Native American community, whereby they're doing the same exact fundamental. It's just a community, it's a neighborhood. They have things in place to protect their own. Now, this topic, you can flip it on many angles. Do we want to build a structural community that we can benefit similar to that of the Jewish community or Native American, or we want to stick to the I mind my business, you mind your own business. We don't talk about equality among each other whatsoever, but you cannot, you're not allowed to use the word community because based on the definition, shout out to Cheeky Banter, words got meanings. You really have to be careful what you put out there because I have avoided a
Yeah.
lot of these platforms because I used to be on there and I thought to stay off there. It allowed me to think and ponder more. This topic today is something that you really, really have to sit on this a little bit more, especially of our demographic, because the fact that they keep quiet, if that's the case, then it's safe to say we're not here to build a community anymore. Then these
See,
five
this is a
dogs,
catch-22, David. In a way, if you're too quiet, you can't build a community.
Yeah.
If you're now vocal, you're too vocal, then people already know your business. You have to find
no, but
the
but
balance.
but what I was saying
Yeah.
earlier before,
And that's the point I was
the
making
Jewish
earlier.
community,
Yeah.
this don't apply to them because everybody's like part of one group.
I think
Well, even then, but the thing is, I don't know if the conversations are such. Like, does everybody knows everybody's business? I guess that's the question. Do people have? I mean, there might be a code of what you can and cannot
Like
talk
a village.
about. I don't.
Like
Again, I don't know all of what that dynamic
like a
is, but there might be some taboos that some lines that you don't cross. There's a code, or there may be a code there that people know enough that. So again, if you're gonna have that, you're gonna have to have that sense of, yeah, we moving together, but we got some codes of conduct also where again these certain areas that you don't get in, that you don't get into, because I know a lot of ethnic communities, especially criticize Americans back, says y'all talk about everything. And it'd be like there'd be stuff that's, I mean, stuff is like hush hush. Like if a girl gets pregnant in that community or whatever, she away. You know what I mean? Oh, she went. Everybody keeps stuff like really tamped down. Now again, how healthy that is, I don't. I'm not going to judge how healthy it is. Not. I just know that a lot of people are a lot more secretive, and what oftentimes happens. I think this is also one of the things that also happens with, as I've talked about in the past, a lot of children of immigrants that have grown up in America. a lot of times they will find out the reason why there's also a pull away from the culture is because they start to learn after a while that there's been a lot of secrets.
Mm-hmm.
And when they see those secrets, it's like, oh, what, grandma was what? Oh, what do you mean? That grandmother has kids by who? Oh, this, that,
Oh,
oh, this happened, that happened. Oh, you know, like all this stuff that be happening, stuff be coming up, and they be like, oh, this is all kind of thing. Now, again, societies, though, have been built, ancient societies have been built up for hundreds, if not thousands of years based on secrets. Like the United States has secrets that, again, we'll never know that Kennedy file. Stop asking for it. It's been 60 years. Freedom of Information Act is out. All that information should have been out. They're not releasing that. Because again, that's how some societies have been able to stay together. But when if someone finds out, it's like, oh, it's like, so no, it's like, I don't want to be a part of that because it's a lie. It's like a storefront. It's a lot of culture and tradition and whatnot, but the underbelly is very ugly if you knew everything that was going on. And if kids get it, and kids smart these days with social media and connections and whatnot, people find out stuff quick. And you'd be like, Mom, why didn't you tell me about we don't talk about that here.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, please correct me if I'm wrong here. Is it pretty common in the African American community here? Like, oh yeah, he slept with this person, I slept with that person. Oh, by the way, that's not really your brother. He's actually your stepbrother, stuff like that. You know what I'm talking about, like the King Smith situation, for example.
It happens, obviously.
Mhm.
Now again, whether people talk about it openly or not, that's a different question. I think people try not to talk about that so openly, and you see like the big flare-ups and whatnot when stuff does come out, when stuff does get leaked. Like I said, you go to the funeral and then you meet your step siblings that you didn't know, and that can cause a lot of consternation and issues and whatnot when those things come out. So it is what it is. You know what I mean? But for a lot of people, especially again if you live in an urban area, if you're in a poor area, a lot of stuff comes out again. But that's why again a lot of African Americans, you get to a certain level of success there.
Yeah.
Because you didn't want your biz, because you wanted the space to kind of just start over or start a new life or whatever. So yeah, I'm gonna leave the five boroughs and move to move to Jersey or some other suburb somewhere or whatever, and you just want to start over.
Yeah. No, when I moved up here originally, like Mount Pocono, you probably hate it because it's more the boonies where I live.
I've been
now.
up here. Yeah, I've been up there. Mount Every Lodge and a lot of the resorts
so
up there. I've been up in that area.
The closest.
So I know what you're talking about.
No, it takes me 15 minutes to get to the stores, 20 with traffic. That's a hike for most people. Now, when it came down to like CQ, for example, he used to live a place called Newfoundland. That was 20 minutes from me, and it was like back roads. That's the only way you can get there. When I looked at him like,
yeah,
dude, you get any more woodier? He goes like, I just want to get away from people. Now, when he
my sister and her husband did that a few years ago. Because they lived in Manhattan, lower Manhattan, when 9/11 happened. Changed their whole thing, so they moved up to like Mount Washington. Fort Washington and in Jersey, just totally different from where they were. They were just kind of, they just didn't want to be part of that environment, even though all those years up there they loved it. But when that happened, they were like, we need a change, and so they just went in a totally different direction. But that's what happens.
When I visited CQ in Maryland after he moved out of PA, and I go up to like at the time that area here it was still growing. It was like one house every few blocks. Now it's a whole different town, obviously. And I went up there. I'm like, dude, can you get any higher in a mountain? And he goes like, I like staying away from people, bro. And but now he's like, he has a couple neighbors here, a couple neighbors there. Like it's like everywhere. It is like they're like where you live. The neighbors everywhere now. And stores only not 5 minutes away from his house and all this stuff. They really grew the area. I'm like, so again, some people just want to stay away from people. Like they Just want to get cabin and just want to relax and be quiet. There's nothing wrong with that either. If you really think about it, Paul, there's nothing wrong with that. If that's your cup of tea, that's great. Me, that's not my cup of tea. I'm like, my cup of tea is playing video games and relaxing, with my buddies. That's my cup of tea. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know you don't drink personally, but like, we had a couple of drinks, laugh, nothing crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like a barbecue. To me, that's relaxing. I'll keep quiet about that.
Sure.
Because I don't want everybody in my house.
Yeah.
I just want my inner circle to show up. You know where I'm going with this?
Yeah. But let's get more personal. So in those settings, so again, it's like things that you shouldn't share. Now again, relationship stuff. Now some people, again, it's like, if you and your lady are having problems, who do you share that with if you share it at all? I know some cats, they're like, I would never know. They'll talk about what they've done, where they're going, but any internal stuff, like, I don't think, I got a lot of guys who'd be like, if they were going through something with their lady or whatever. Now, again, some guys do. But should that be off the table when you're with your friends about your wife? In fact, I'll make it very specific. If it's not your girlfriend or just some girl you just with or just smashing or whatever, I'm talking about your wife. Should that be off limits in a conversation with your friends or your spouse, just in general? If the spouse is having problems, should she be talking about her husband to her girlfriends about what's going on? What do you guys think about that?
So, me personally, it depends if you're in my inner circle or not in my inner circle. My inner circle right now evolves. I'll name them right now: CQ, King Smith, Paul, the president, David, Rob, Dimitri. Those are the 6 that are involved.
That's a big circle.
That's it. Nothing more than that.
A lot of time, your inner circle. I'm kind of like your inner circle. I've always been thought inner circle should be certainly less than 5.
Personal preference. That I keep it to 10. Me personally.
You know what I mean? It's like if you kept naming names, like,
no.
There's got to be an inner circle and there's got to be an inner circle. So there's got
people that I speak to on a daily basis in my inner circle. Like I talk to you on a daily basis. I talk to this knucklehead once in a while too. But but you guys are in my inner circle, and we broke bread together. I've been in your house, all this stuff. So whatever. So if you're in my inner circle, yeah, I'll share it. And we did. Well, last time we went on a train ride together to New York, we shared a lot.
Well, sure. I'm just asking the question in general, and even for those who are in the chat, stuff off like at what point your husband or your spouse was having problems, sex problem, whatever, financial problem, or whatever. At what point or in what circle do you share that? Now, I know some people, it's like, we ain't got no problems. Now, if you wind up pregnant, then yeah, that's obviously something you can't hide. But it could have been an adulterous situation. Would you share that? Because again, especially if you're going to be around these people. So let's just say you guys gonna have the cookout, right? And everybody comes over, but then everybody knows that Robert cheated on you. How's that gonna look?
Not good.
Or they start looking at it and he gonna start perceiving why they ghosted me like that. It's like, hey, what's up? It's like, hey, it's like uncomfortable. Like, what happened? What was said? So again, some situations you may not want to share, especially if you are with a group of people that you know on a regular basis. The only time I've seen stuff shared is like if you guys like are literally on the brink of divorce, like you're divorcing, then yeah, sometimes that stuff comes out because obviously that person's not going to be around anymore, and then people are going to be asking, well, where's Rob or where's whoever it is. But your day-to-day problems or whatnot, some people are very close to the vest. I don't share nothing, that kind of stuff is off limits. We'll talk about politics, sports, we'll talk about whatever. Wife and kids, even then there's people who won't let you in on that inner when things like that are going on. Because again, especially if you got to see them, they don't want those people judged. Even if you were having a sex problem or whatever, then you meet Karen and be like, hey, Karen, or whatever, and even subconsciously, you may look at her differently because you know what, she's not treating my man right, my boy right, or something like that. You don't want to necessarily foster those kind of feelings with somebody. Um, and it gets awkward because again, you guys are in close proximity. So again, I don't know if that's going to be the same answer for everybody. David, so I wouldn't mind your perspective on that, um, on that situation. On sharing or oversharing with people. On like I said, when you got personal business like that, relationships, spouses, kids, or whatever, some people are like off limits with that. Some people sometimes overshare, but then again, that creates situations that especially if you got to be around them. Ugh, do I really
And
want to be here knowing what I know about
and
this situation?
and this is why I'm glad that it's being talked about, because if we were to go overseas to be part of a different type of community, like a village, my culture's aspect of it, everybody almost know your business. Everybody know who's your mother, who's your father, who's your sibling is, where you go to school, who you get married to. So in case of an issue, you bring that issue to the elder, and they will sit you down and trying to mediate the problem so that it don't go too far out of the village, so to speak. If you're a woman with stepping out of line and she's cheating, then that'll call all the elder women to deal with her, right? Because they're the matriarch of the village. You got the patriarch of the village and the matriarch. You got the elder men and you got the elder women. When a woman is stepping out of line of her duty, what's supposed to be in a marriage,
Hmm.
the elder women will drag her in the middle and they go to their separate meeting place and the men stay out of it. The elder women are dealing with that woman for her own person. As for the man, he had to be among the elder and they will sit down, talk to him, that kind of. This was the dynamic that built a culture, that built a community, that built a legacy and a foundation that is completely different what we see here in the US. Now, here in this country, people don't want people business in people's mouth. I get it. That's the westernization of seeing things, but on the eastern way of seeing things, what culture dynamic, there is a level of equity that is built over time to the point either it's good or bad, where it deal with more inheritance, it deal with legacy. Your forefather might had this plot of land that been passed down for multiple generations, which is part of that community. The elder know your family name and know how well influential these people are. So in case of anything, they can be like, no one can touch the person's land. They belong to the social family. They're part of this community. No one to trespass. If you trespass, you're dealing with us. That is the aspect of what a village has, whereby there are things that are left behind for multiple generations, and along that, that bloodline still exists. That property still exists. That land still exists. The village elder or the chief have a say on what can happen. If you went to the village and say, we want to rent our land, we're not selling it, we want to rent it, but we want to make sure we ask you if we are allowed to do such things so we don't break the bylaw. Because I'm hearing that is going on right now in Ghana, whereby people can lease their land for 50 years to 99 out. I'm like, hold up. Now, not next level, but that come about based on the village, the community. They have built a level of equity whereby now they figure out where they can profit from it. I mean, I don't have to be there. You want to use my piece of land that I have? I will lease it to you. Just make sure you pay your lease. This could be for 50 years. So that document will be passed down to the next head of your family, and they keep track of the lease, so they make sure we get that funding. Now, me hearing and seeing that, it got me thinking they are now taking their community to the next level that never unheard and never been thought about that could be possible. How come we're not practice such thing? But then again, can we practice such thing in an area whereby technically the government don't let you keep your land? Your land is based on a lease or whatever you want to call it, a mortgage, whatever. You can never fully own anything in this country, so to speak, except for your car.
Not even that sometimes.
That's what I'm saying. But when I hear that concept over there, the first thing that to my head was like holy shit, that's next level. No, this conversation, no matter you can flip from many angles, you can apply this in that type of conversation. That become non-existent because there's a level of protection in that village. Because everybody know everyone in your family. You know who, and sometimes I hate to say that. Let me just put Paul in that perspective. He got daughters. No one allowed to step up to the daughter and let you meet the criteria. So there'll be too many gatekeepers that are like, oh no, you can't date my Mr. Bennett daughter. There's a criteria we have in our village. You gotta step up to the plate. If they ever think you're good enough for this man's daughter, you will bring him to you think he's a good suitor because we found out X, Y, Z. And what they do, they did the investigation for Mr. Bennett because his daughter are single, there's no suitor yet, but they want to make sure no one come, get to come correct, so to speak. Everybody watching out for everybody, so to speak. That's the dynamic that built in that village. So imagine the poet in that environment, he has three daughters. Shoot! Imagine what these children had to go through. They gotta go through all type of undercover interview. People are spying on making sure that you're legit. You're not no fraud whatsoever. Because no. You're not gonna marry our. They take our daughter because they're coming from our village. They represent us. We're not gonna disgrace our people because you disgrace our people. We're coming for you, kind of thing.
It's more sacred for you guys.
Bingo. Because the more I listen to the news and listen to what's going on in different communities in Africa, the more I start to question which one is beneficial. Going and seeing this topic right now, remember I said you can flip it. If we go down this route, you are setting yourself up whereby you're isolating yourself more. There's a level of isolation that will be it'll either be high or low depending on how far it goes. Is it beneficial for you and for your family, or it's not? These are things that I tried upon. I'm trying to sit my head around, and sometimes I need more information to digest so I can get that level of clarity and see the mechanism in place.
Mhm.
Because when I see those type of communities,
I don't know if it necessarily boils down to right or wrong, though. I mean,
and,
it just there's trade offs,
and
right?
you're correct. There is trade off in
If
that.
you want, like I say, if you want that community to propagate and to continue to propagate, like I said, a lot of Americans or Africans who grew up in America are not interested in propagating the community, at least not in the strictest sense. They don't mind some aspects, the music, the dance, the festivals, the gatherings. But again, marriage, they're just not feeling it, man. I mean, the idea of suitors, coming for your daughter or whatever, these girls don't want any part of it. They're like Americanized that way. They don't want an older, like you're 22, 23-year-old girl, your suitor could be 40 years old. They're like, I'm not marrying someone who's 40. I had a niece. She went through that because her father's Igbo, and his mom tried to hook her up with a guy who was much older, So again, there's certain it's going to come with pluses and minuses. If you want to be part of that structure, then yeah, things are going to be known about you that you may or may not want known. There's a way that you move that on certain aspects you can certainly appreciate, but people, I think, certainly these days they value privacy much more, and I think that goes with again an American ethos, independence, self-reliance.
And you
That
hit
is
on
as
the
American as it gets. The
you
individual versus the collective of the community, unless it's like wartime or something. And yeah, we all unite, USA and all that stuff, or sports or whatever, World Cup. Yeah,
and
we come together on certain things, but it's individual rights and individual liberty trumps all, no pun intended.
and you
And
hit it
that
on the nail when you
is,
said
yeah.
that. I have to agree with you. You hit on the nail because you and I have caught on this topic many times. But when you say right that you hit it on the nail because it's not just I'm considered to be first generation. The other who are first, second, third generation accepting the Western way of thinking they want to do, divorce themselves from their culture or background based
Mhm.
on secret they found out that's rubbed them up the wrong way and they don't want to be a part of it because they found out if they were going on for so long and everybody knew about it and everybody was doing this,
Mhm.
do I want to be a part of that?
Yeah.
No. And I
Especially
totally
given what they
agree.
grew up in, because again, in America, it's so contradictory to, again, like an American value system, that it's hard for them to wrap their brains around it. Maybe if you grew up in that and you were entrenched, you knew that from young, that there's certain things you don't talk about, there's certain place you don't go, there's certain things, business you don't need to be in. Now everything is such information is like available to everybody. And so again, it's hard for me to look at that situation through my Americanized upbringing. As much as they try to keep me in, the cult, because even here, like I said, you can have your cultural events, but again, how many of those you're gonna have? Maybe once a year, twice a year,
Mm,
you have events, but you're not in the village. Because again, if you're a successful Nigerian American family, you're not living necessarily amongst successful Nigerians. Y'all come
fact-
together,
facts.
but again, if you're living in the suburbs or whatever it is, you're just like African Americans. You're probably the few people in your community on your block. The only ones I've seen here that do that, Latinos kind of live in groups. Asian Indians tend to live in groups,
Hmm.
but even the Africans, I haven't been in mostly, at least not in the suburbs anyway. Now New York or whatever, you find these ethnic communities in like I said, in the urban areas, but in the suburbs, I've yet to see a Nigerian American based community.
That is
Now New
different.
York, you got Haitian communities, you got Jamaican. I mean, in New York, there's a lot more ethnic communities. But it's hard to do that in the suburbs unless all y'all are going to be very strategic about, look, I'm going to buy this house and there's this development that's being built up and we're all going to buy houses in this community. I don't even hear Africans doing that.
And I think that the reason behind that because it depends on what group of Africans. Either they're Nigerian or they're Ghanaian or they're from Senegal or from Burkina Faso. It depends what is the agenda are they working towards to. And what you said totally correct because even I was thinking about that the same thing. Like did that happen in the suburb? Did they strategically plan out how to go buy a property and be all collective? Because looking at this country, question gotta ask where that will be possible, where that will be allowed. Would they let a selected number of people in that particular ethnic group want to buy a property in that particular community without roadblocking it?
Yeah.
That's the question I'm going to
Well,
ask
like I said,
because
yeah, because like I said, in a lot of these suburban communities, persons of color are generally the minorities there. Like I said, Asian
bingo.
Indians is the only one. You go like to Edison, New Jersey, or North Brunswick or whatever, you see, like I said, communities that are predominantly. In fact, one of the clients I was working with earlier, the community that he lives in, there's a lot of Asian Indians in there. Nice homes, beautiful homes, driveways, and all that kind of stuff. I mean, yeah, you have that, but I don't see that with any other ethnic groups. So so that might be something that is exclusive to them. But even still, do you want to be a part of a community that knows all your business? And so again, you have to, with that situation, you got to take the good with the sweet. And people will know one way or another. They find out stuff about you that you may not want them to know. They may find out how much you make, or they may find out about your family situation. If you had a fight with your wife, or your wife is cheated, or you cheated, or something. Stuff gets right. You got to choose.
Because and I'm glad you said, but right now, there's a village in Nigeria. This is far from Lagos, whereby people are coming and buying. I'm not saying buying. Let me rephrase that. People are building the type of mansion, turning that village to something else that it's not. It's almost like that village went through a reconstruction. It's nothing more but a village of mansion next door to each other. It's kind of like weird. They may be the land belong to their family, but instead of keeping it where it's supposed to be, they turn into a little mansion like setup. So you go down the street, you see mansion left and right, depending on the value being spent on. And that is happening in Nigeria right now to speak. Outside the realm of Lagos and certain states, I'm sure either Ondo or your Lagos or Shun. No, not Lagos, but something like that. People are doing that. I see another country that a multi-billionaire converted his village to a city because he is known to the village chief and he had a vision for the village. So everybody partaking in it and became something more profitable with them. Everything very based on the surrounding you grow, and what you're saying totally correct. Because looking at present time, this is a dialogue that, whew, man, I'll be honest though, this is a dialogue that it need to be dissected a little further.
Yeah.
Because you
Yeah. And
when I
one.
ask
Yeah.
yourself, like for example, I'm looking towards to move back to Africa, and I'm planning to go to my home country, I'm planning to go to another country instead. And I gotta ask myself where I'm going to be moving to, if I want to be part of that particular community or not. If I want to be with a support assimilated into that community. If I want to build something that I'll pass down for the next couple of generations. What are the pros and cons behind that? We had security boss. She moved to South Africa, and lately it seemed like she getting assimilated and she became accustomed. People are more welcoming to her because what she's bringing. So that's the question that are going. Everybody, what is goes about this? I want to move back to Greece, and they're like, you're awkward. This is Greece, not like it used to be anymore.
Oh,
How would he?
I could have told you that Greece is nowhere near the same as what it used to be. So
Well, is that but is that better for you though? Because are they more more westernized, more Americanized, more cross-platform? So it might be better for you there than having to deal with a lot of the ethnic stuff that might have been there back when you were young. I mean, are people more global now? Things that might not have been so normalized back then, now they are. And since you already grew up in a culture that has that already, would it be easier if you went back to Greece now versus if you moved back there 30 years ago?
Good
Can't answer
question.
that question. I can't answer that question because I haven't been there in so long. To I step foot in that country and be around the people again. Give me like 3 weeks or 2 weeks at least. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
You give you a month.
I don't know.
Yeah.
No, I'm serious. 2 weeks, I wouldn't know because I'll be hanging out with the people. I'll be socializing with them, so I wouldn't know because I remember the old Greece and the new Greece. From what I see from TV, it still seems like it's like the old Greece. Some places, and some places are not.
Right.
50-50 mix. It's more Western Americanized, I guess you want to call it, and it's not.
Well, at least in the cities, anyway. Like Athens might be a different story than like I said, a suburb or more rural part of Greece. But I mean, Athens vibe might be, pretty familiar as far as American.
And that is a good point. This is something that if I'm saying this conversation, it opened up different layers to look into because if you're planning to stay within a westernization where you got to adapt to the American mindset of about my own business, you're planning to move to another environment, you might want to drop the American way of thinking and adapt to something that's completely different that might be beneficial to you or may not be beneficial to you, depend on that particular environment. And this is like a discussion that's for it anybody. If you plan to relocate, you plan to go to something new, you gotta ask yourself what type of environment that benefits you more and what kind of thing that you're willing to share or not share. I think that is something everybody gotta have on the top of their mind to be able to make that particular move. Because like I said, this as we were talking, I started to think more about it and I'm like, damn, I didn't even think about it in this angle. This is a good question. This is a good thing to look into.
Mm.
Because for me who want to go back, because before I thought I'm gonna go back, and now thanks to the orange man, I'm more eager to go back because I'm like I'm tired. I'm already fed up. I had enough of this. I want to be in a different environment where it's more relaxing to my soul than with the being on edge every day. Because being on edge is fine every day. After a while, you get tired of it. You want to actually literally breathe. Like, kind of. But are you trying to grab my air out of my mouth? Like, seriously? That's what it feel like over here. I had to do this. Figure of speech. That's what it feel like here.
Mm.
But after a while, depending on your endurance level, you might say enough is enough. Like get the hell out of here. Because now, like I mentioned, social media is no longer social media, it's more gossip media. Nothing is safe. Everyone can hate on you for anything and want to dock you just because they don't like your lifestyle. They feel like your lifestyle belong to them. Like, nigga, please. No, excuse me,
Eh,
sorry. Forgive me. I got triggered. I apologize for that.
Don't
But
get triggered.
no, and I've seen that a lot. I'm trying to make sense of that. People are now going to the point whereby they're invading your privacy. They feel like you don't deserve that type of life as if you didn't work hard for it. And I'm scratching my head like, who are you? Because in
All
today's
right.
time, we're in an area whereby we need to figure out where we are safe or not safe to be or not share. Because if I don't share, will I be penalized for that?
Mhm.
If I'm at a job, I don't feel like talking. I don't feel like sharing anything about myself. Would cost me my job because some
And that
people.
is a big issue too. But we're running out of time, so let's
Mm.
get our final thoughts in because we all have to get up tomorrow.
Yeah.
Dave, you
Okay.
want to go first?
Final thought. Whew, I say this is a conversation that need to be a table counter conversation because I believe this is something I've been mentioning from the household for years. About people having the discussion about what they fear, what they're experiencing in today's time, or maybe the dynamic have changed or not, and how do they feel comfortable about their environment, like in work environment you just mentioned right now in the last few minutes. If you want to keep your silence, keep your silence not being threatened between what work environment you in. You're not allowed to keep silent. You have to partake. If you don't partake, they feel like you might get rid of you. So it's almost like there's too many things that are happening these days. I think this is something it need to be practiced so there could be a level of training among the young generation so they can be aware of what to expect. And this is a really, really interesting, thought-provoking conversation. I'll be on this. So far, it's a very good one from Peter. I'll give you that. It's a very good one. I'll give you that. That is my final thought.
Thanks, David. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I would say this. The more I'm thinking about this topic tonight, because I led in saying, depending on your willingness to take criticism for what you share, you should be able to share anything you want. And I think I pretty much still believe that. The only thing I would tweak would be just be careful what you say. What you say might be more important than what you share. The questions that you ask someone today, again, you got to be mindful of. Like, I dropped a link in the chat if Pete wants to share it. But again, there's certain things that they can't ask you in an interview. You can't ask someone's age. You can't ask what country someone's from. There's just certain things, especially in a corporate setting, that are discouraged from you asking. At least certainly in the interview stage, and even in the work stage, unless conversations naturally happen. So just be mindful of what you say, or if there's information that's shared with you, be careful who you share that information with. But if you're good with who you are, your lifestyle, marriage, whatever, outside of income, the personal income, yeah, I think you should, be able to talk about anything that you want. But again, you try to use some wisdom in terms of when, where, and with whom do you share that information. But always be mindful of what you say, because, again, it's not so much what you say, it's all about how people interpret what's been said. And with a lot of people now being very sensitive in corporate spaces or other type of spaces, be careful as a man, be careful what you say to a woman. Because these days, especially if you've taken any kind of training, a lot of corporate trainings are mandatory now when it comes to things you can say and not say. Don't be so in a rush to say, "Oh, that's a nice dress you have on," or "Those some nice shoes you have on," or stuff like that. Those are gray areas for sure. But why go there? Because, again, you just don't know if you're making someone else uncomfortable, even though that wasn't your intention to be. So I think what you say matters more than what you share. But in either case, use wisdom when you do open your mouth, and try not to put yourself in situations where you can be harmed by what you've said or shared. I think that's equally important, though. That's it.
So this can go either way. I actually am going to do like like I said, I mentioned earlier today, a social media show. I don't have a title for it yet. It'll be posted soon, but I think that's another thing we need to go over, because a lot of people live on social media. But a lot of things, Paul mentioned about people bringing up to interviews and stuff like that. I didn't know that until tonight, to be honest with you, Paul. I didn't know they couldn't ask your age in an interview or in any work environment, because it's common to bring it up. We talk about it all the time in my line of work. So,
age discrimination. Like say you're married. You're married. They can't ask you in the interview stage if you're married or not. What they can ask you is, are you willing to travel? If you need to travel for work, are you able to do it? That you can ask.
Yeah,
but they cannot ask you what your marital status is. You know what I mean? So there's just certain things you need to be mindful of, so that you don't say, you don't say the wrong thing, and then all of a sudden you're getting a call from HR because someone feels violated because you went to an area that you shouldn't have. So those are, I think I would put more emphasis on that, and knowing, again, not to share, not to say too much about someone's attire or look, or hey, you've gained weight as of late. No, don't say any of that to male or female. Just stay away from that stuff altogether, unless that you're very, very, very tight with that person, before you do that. So you got to use some wisdom either way. But even back in the day, sometimes I would say things that I was like, you know what? Or sometimes I might have been trying to say a joke, and sometimes the joke wasn't received in the right way or something of that nature. And, so I learned, especially dealing with the opposite sex. The less you say, the better off you'll be generally, especially in this environment today. So yeah, just be just be mindful of that.
Oh yeah, I agree 100%. So let's get over the schedule and let's call it a night. David, you want to go over your show for tomorrow? Make sure
Tomorrow's
you're awake.
show. Tomorrow's show is a very interesting show. We go a little deep. This is for all MMA fan, MMA junkie. This is an anime based on a pop culture phenomenon called Baki, a grappler. It became a heavy fixture in Netflix to the point whereby you're wondering to see how far they go take it because they had an old version that been on multiple websites. We go talk about Baki the character and the whole franchise for what it is, and see how far we can go with it because this is one of my favorite fighting anime, whereby it it kind of make me want to get back into it, but I'm kind of old right now. If I was in my 30, my 20, I'm looking for the one to whoop, but now I can't. I gotta be careful about that because we're very different era. But it's a cool show we'll be having, and I'm hoping to get some people who want to join into the conversation or have things to contribute to the conversation. Other than that, tonight's show was a very thought provoking show. It got me thinking about a lot of things. I mean, I have to start writing things down now. And that probably the better way of mentioning about the legal implications about acting, age, and all that stuff. It have been a thing in the workforce arena because whereby people have discriminate people based on age, marriage status, and place of origin. They have gone too far. That's why I'm saying corporate America is not the same as other arenas. They are crossing threshold unheard of and doing things they're not supposed to do. This is why those things Mr. Pablo mentioned have been put out there. And I work in many different private sectors and public sectors whereby this is being pushed for a specific reason. It can get out of hand at times, but
Yeah.
hey.
All right, Dave. I mean, Paul, you want to go next?
Yeah, so it's certainly this Thursday on Next Gen Training. Actually, this will be a good segue into that because we're going to be talking about manners, about manners in the workplace, how you can should conduct yourself. So again, some of these same things that we might have talked about tonight, we may certainly expand even more on than the points that we're talking about. So yeah, so I think good information, and again, we may even, if I have time, share more of what I shared tonight. Just etiquette in terms of what certainly if you want to work in these spaces. And I think it's not just corporate, it's any jobs now where you have a mixed environment, multicultural environment. You certainly need to know how to act accordingly. We're not offending people's religion. I know certain companies, they have it where you can they have prayer rooms. For most of you, got to pray 5 times a day. So folks accommodate there. So wear headgear, your hair. I mean, there's a lot of different things that are certainly changing, and you need to be mindful of that before you speak, or comment on someone because they've done something or wearing something. So hopefully we'll do a deeper dive into that on this Thursday. Looking forward to the conversation.
All right. And where are we? So on Saturday, the Hangout Show, where we talking about armor up? Who has the most powerful armor? That's really an interesting conversation, I think. And David, don't give me that look. Yes, we know we're gonna argue like we always do. Well, we're gonna kiss and make up like we always do too. Pause.
Yeah, I'm about to say.
Yeah. It was an expression of speech. So shut up. Sunday we're gonna have our normal gray area, right, Paul?
Mhm.
Okay. And
With the
for next
topic.
week, go ahead. Yeah, you have it. I
Yeah,
haven't looked at it.
topic. Yeah, topics is going to be. Is it selfish to have kids if you're not financially stable?
Yep, I went there.
Okay.
I actually forgot about that one. Completely. Shit.
Mm-hmm.
So
Ooh. Ooh.
kaboom. And next Tuesday, we are talking about fitness and style, modern gym dress code. Yeah, I'm gonna try to get Reckless back on that one. Let's just
Okay, hold on. Time out. Went from are you selfish for having kids if you can afford it to dress code into the gym? Are you getting one two? I will step on your nerve punch going on here.
David, David, it's a reason why I am the master of this because I like mind fucking you guys sometimes.
Pause.
Not like that. Yeah, but right out of gutter. This is a rated R show,
I
not
know, I know,
rated.
I know,
You can
I
tell you
know.
all
But
night.
the Tuesday night show is that is a nationwide issue already for what it is. And with our big butt over here, he don't have to worry about he had his own personal gym. But he don't have to be in these type of gym and see the shenanigan that goes on these days that you start to wonder like what the hell am I in? And to me the gym is to me, I'm going to the gym every day, it's like a sanctuary. That's where I unleash whatever level of stress I have throughout that day, throughout the week, so I can go home lightheaded. I ain't going to the gym just to cause drama. I'm going there to focus on converting my negativity into positivity. But these days, the negativity have skyrocketed to the point whereby you start to wonder, do I need to work out there or just stay home or just go to the park? That'll be an interesting conversation.
Um,
And I hope Reckless Ray shows up.
yeah, I'm gonna email him soon. Or text him.
I know
Um,
Reckless Ray, I'm calling you out. We haven't seen you in a while. We need some of your recklessness over here.
so let's not get into that too much. I really want to hold out for next week, but it should be a very interesting conversation because I've seen a lot of red flags in gyms. That's all I want to leave it. Except that, David, and last final words before you walk the plank.
I don't walk a plank. I put people off the plank. Other than that, it has been like interest. Ladies and gentlemen, please, if you have any comment on this particular topic, put your own two cents because this is something I think everybody needs to start thinking about more often. Because it's a really, really deep topic that you not only gotta ask yourself, either you're married or not, but you gotta ask what it will affect on your particular foundation.
Mm,
This is a foundation building type of topic, if you ask me.
true,
Because a lot of parents don't teach their kid about this.
true.
Am I wrong, Mr. Bennett?
Um, I may differ a little bit. We'll wait for the show
See?
for my opinion on
You
it.
see?
I'll think about it a little bit more.
All right. So I guess that's your final opinion, Paul. Guys, as always, this was the Spartan SU Network. I am Ghost Sparta. He is Black David. He is Mr. Paul. As always, stay fresh, stay safe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.